I am the worship arts pastor at Rolling Hills Community Church. This has been a more recent position that I have been invited into. And so I was a worship arts associate pastor prior, and just this past month got this new position. So I am kind of just finding my way. And it's not too different than my old position, but it's different enough. And so if you're feeling like you are not equipped, welcome. Last week, I had a point where I was like, uh-oh, what did I do? Only because there's just more responsibility. I realized there are certain things that are now my problem, and it's great. But my boss will not change, and he is present to be an advisor, and he's just over more ministries now. And so I'm very thankful, but yes, I'm figuring it out. So anyway, you're in good company if you feel like you are not worthy, or if you feel like you are not equipped, or if you feel like you've been thrown into the fire, into a certain situation, a position, or whether you're just singing on stage. And so yeah, I did not always love singing in front of people, and now that's a part of my job. And I loved singing in choir growing up. I loved it. I loved being in the background, and I still do even now today. But my role and what I have been called to do is not to sit in the background all the time. And so when I can, I'm very happy. But even being here today, having to teach and speak is like, okay, Lord, I'm just going to trust you because you are my help in my time of need. And so also, if you're in good company and you do not like public speaking or even getting in front of people, you're in good company there. And so some of my favorite musical artists growing up were like the Temptations, because my parents just loved them. And so my god sisters and I would come up with dances. And then Lauryn Hill, I loved her. And I would just practice her vocal runs in my room over and over and over again. And hopefully that's encouraging to you. Find a vocalist who you love and practice their runs, not to mimic their voice, but to find your voice as you are rehearsing some of their very unique giftings and vocal runs. And so the whole miseducation of Lauryn Hill, I pretty much know every single part of it. You know what? I almost said I don't sound as good as her, but I'm so thankful for Spirit that I said it, but that was my go-to. And so thank you for speaking into that, to not talking down upon ourselves too. So thank you. Spirit, you're great. You're really, really great. I cannot believe that you're 30. I just thought you were so much younger. It's going to be a gift as you get older. Speaking as a 40-year-old. So I was asked to lead worship when I was 17 years old by my youth pastor. And again, I did not want to lead, but I'm a yes person. And so I said yes, reluctantly. And so I led scared. Sometimes I still do lead scared. But I had to grow in my confidence. But God had to put people around me to build me up. I had this season in my teen years into adulthood of being surrounded by people who spoke positively into my life. It was so important for my confidence. A pretty pivotal moment for me is when I sung in the Northwest Gospel Choir. They sing, I'm not in it anymore, but they sing at the Arlene Schnitzer Hall with the Organ Symphony. And it's this beautiful a combination of gospel and classical smashed in together. And it's like it's like heaven. Because you're hearing all these wonderful voices, you're hearing all these beautiful instruments, and it is just absolutely glorious. But I decided to audition for a solo, and in my mind, I'm like, there are so many other people who are better than me. That's what I was thinking. I don't think that I have the confidence to step in and audition. Even if I do, I was thinking, I will not even get the solo. And I did. And then I lost my voice because I was so stressed out the whole throughout the whole thing. I look back at that moment and I still rallied and I still sang, which I probably honestly shouldn't if we're thinking about vocal health. I should have just said, no, I cannot. And I rallied together. I had strep throat. I was diagnosed with strep throat. And there was even a friend in the choir who was like, you realize you have strep throat? You cannot sing. It's like, yes, I can. And so I rallied and I sang. But I was so thankful for that moment, even to step out in uncertainty and audition alone. And then it was a massive boost of confidence to get this solo piece. But that process is what I needed. I needed to take the first step into singing, into putting myself out there to have a solo in such a major space. But the smaller spaces are significant too, to sing in those spaces. That's important too. And so I want to ask a question to the class. Anyone can answer this. Who has stepped out to audition for a major piece or role, and how would you encourage others to do the same? So I, after graduating high school, I went to Portland Community College for a few years. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And after being there for a few years, I decided to transfer to Portland State University, where I became a vocal major. And I had to learn how to sing classically. I had not had any formal vocal training, just aside from choir and group environments up until that point. And so when I started at Portland State, I had to learn a lot of classical pieces. And it was really hard. I've grown up, like I said, listening to Lauryn Hill and the Temptations and a lot of R&B and gospel. And also because the church that I was in was pretty diverse in that we did like CCM, like pretty contemporary worship stuff. And then also we did gospel music. And so I got the gamut there of Christian music, but to sing classically was just so outside of what I am accustomed to. How many of you have had vocal training, like classical vocal training? Okay. So to go to that was terrifying. It was terrifying, but I had to in order to pass my jury, who's familiar with what a jury is? Yes. So a jury is basically a vocal final if you are a voice major. And we have to get up in front of a panel of people. And in that situation, I was able to choose a song, and then they chose a song for me. So I had to be ready. I had to be completely prepared for whatever they would throw at me. And I would pray, Lord God, please let them pick just this one song. And usually that was not the case. Oh, thank God for growing and stretching us beyond what we could even see as capable, and that we can lean on Him to help us in so many ways. And so I want to, I will add this. I had a vocal instructor who was a opera singer, and so there was a lot of vibrato that she had me incorporate into our vocal lessons. And then I've had another vocal instructor in a different musical setting who didn't let me sing until I learned how to breathe. And by this time, when I had met with him, I'd already been singing. And so pride crept in at that moment, because I'm like, I already know how to sing. I've been singing. What do you mean you won't let me sing? And so he had to teach me how to breathe. And he said, if you could describe what your voice looks like, what would it be? Use your hands. And I went like this. And he's like, yes, that's exactly how you sound. And I was so offended. I'm like, what do you mean? So I'm restricting my voice. I am singing in a way where it's almost like I needed my own monitor. So I wanted to be able to hear myself. So instead of singing outward, I was singing inward. And so it was mentioned, Olivia mentioned it about singing in the shower or in a half bath, which is so useful. I really encourage you guys to go into some sort of echoey space. It could be a stairwell too. Stairwells are really helpful, especially at our church. There's 2 really good ones. But find that space to where you can be free to sing to the wall. You are singing. Picture the farthest person wherever you are in a music space and sing out, and don't be so inward. And so those were the two I had to learn, one classical, and then I had to learn also just how to breathe. And so what I had to learn, and Olivia talked about this too, which I'm so thankful for, but not breathing with my arms and my shoulders, because that's what I would do, because I would need to rev up, but to breathe outward, to have more control here and to breathe outward. So instead of doing this. So he wanted to see very little movement up here. And in fact, he would stare at me and I would like, oh no, I don't know how to breathe now. But I learned how to breathe outward like this to expand my lungs instead of trying to use my shoulders for some sort of strength. And that's not where our voices are. That's not where our lungs are. Our lungs aren't in our shoulders. They're right here. Right here. I did take anatomy and physiology here. Anyway, it was a long time ago. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. I'm going to sing something. I'm going to sing a worship song so that you can hear what my voice sounds like. And then I'm going to sing a classical song because I want to show how both genres can help one another, and then how sometimes the genres can actually get in the way of each other. So name a Christian song. This will be fun. Name one, and I'll see if I can remember the words. Perfect. Love that one. I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. In all my days, I've been held in your hands. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend, and I will sing in the goodness of God. Did I get that right? Good. And so that's how my voice generally sounds. Again, there's pollen floating around. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. So that's usually how I sound. I love octave jumps. But as I've gotten older, I've realized octave jumps are a little bit harder for me. So I have had to drop key a full step because some of those jumps I cannot hit. And so our voices do change, but I love what Olivia said too. There's that other part where like, yes, but it can age and it can just be wonderful and beautiful, like fine wine. And so we will lean into that. And so if there is a song, I love what you did earlier, Spirit. If there is a song that you're tapping out on, whether you're sick and whether there's pollen in the air or whether your voice, you recognize, oh, my range isn't what it used to be, embrace it and find a key that works. And don't beat yourself down about it. So I'll sing a classical piece. You've heard what my voice sounds like. So it's an Italian piece. Si ben crudele mi fai languir, sempre fedele ti voglio amar. So I'm using more vibrato. It is necessary for me to breathe. If I had breathed in certain moments during that song, my vocal instructor would have said, you do not breathe in the middle of a phrase. So I had to even get into my sheet music and mark where I was going to breathe. I tried that in worship music, and it takes so much of a mental exercise to be able to remember it. Because sometimes you're in the moment and you're just worshiping and you're not thinking about breathing. But the classical training allowed me to have more vocal support. I learned how to breathe better within worship music. So when I'm doing some of those octave jumps, which I love to do, like Freedom or, what's another one? Who You Say, yes, who You Say I Am. What's another one that we do that has a vocal jump? Yeah, Tremble's a good one. Yes, that's a really good one. Having the vocal support that is necessary in order to sing those notes well is so important. What are some other things that you could see that classical music would be beneficial to singing worship music or more contemporary music? Doesn't have to be worship. Yeah.
Attention to tone.
Attention to tone. That's really good. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Exactly what you said. Breathing. So I
Breathing.
do a lot of indie rock and soul music.
Yes.
And so like when I'm dolphing on a few songs, I get lightheaded a lot.
Mm.
Full notes, and then I'm like, okay, I need to finish this verse, and I don't plan out my breaths. I've never thought when I'm like jotting down my music to be like, oh, breathe there, breathe there.
Right.
But yeah, that would be very useful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so useful. It is a good discipline, I would say, for sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
How about controlling your vibrato? Knowing when
Yes.
to use it and when not.
Yes. Yeah, that's really good because in classical music and in opera, especially, opera is necessary to have vibrato. And then in worship music, sometimes it's not helpful at all. And sometimes, especially with mic frequency, it can really get in the way. There have been moments when I have been singing and I will not be paying attention to my vibrato. And on the live stream that we have, because there's some auto tune that happens, all of a sudden, if I hit a vibrato, it will put everything out of key. Oh my, that has happened. That has happened. It's not great. So I have to know when to choose my vibrato too. Spirit did something earlier, and I don't know if you guys caught it, but I'm going to have her come up. But I caught it, and I was like, oh, this is a beautiful thing. So when she was singing How He Loves Us, it sounded different than how she sang the jazz piece.
Fly Me to the Moon.
Fly Me to the Moon. And I want you to sing both those songs back to back, if you could, because I want to give an example of what it means to honor the song well. And so I shouldn't be singing Goodness of God like a classical piece, because especially when it's congregational, it might be harder to even sing along to, and it's really not helpful. But when you're singing jazz too, you're wanting to capture the essence of what jazz is too. So if you choose which one you want to start with first.
I'll go with How He Loves Us. He is jealous for me, loves like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of His wind and mercy. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
Yes. Give her a hand. Thank you so much. Yes, she has a natural vibrato at the very end of her phrases, and she chose when to use it more. She used it less on the worship song, and then she embraced it and leaned into it on the jazz song, and that's where it is great to find those spaces where, when can I use this? But then it's necessary to have a straight tone too. I have a harder time with that. So I want to sing, I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. But it is important for me to bring it back just a little bit. I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. So I'm choosing to straighten out some of those moments where it's a little bit more vibrato. And I will admit, if I'm really into the song, everything's out the window. It's all, I'm like, what did I learn? I don't know. We're praising Jesus. But the hope is that some of those things will almost become automated. It's like we train our voice. Our voice is this muscle. And so just like we train any other part of our body, which I know that you've heard of before, our voice is the same. And so we hope for muscle memory too in in really key moments, especially desperate times when we may feel fatigued in our voice. My boss, Aaron Dorr, he is an incredible piano player, and he can really play anything. In fact, he almost every Christmas up until last year, we did a carols by request thing. And basically the church calls out a carol on a Sunday morning and he plays it. And it can be great, and then also it gets really funny, but he will just play the song. He will hear the name of the song and he'll play it. And I was like, how do you do that? And he's like, it's all muscle memory. I'm like, wow, that is incredible. And I think about our voices, about the muscle memory that we have. If anyone else is willing to also sing two contrasting pieces so that we can hear the diversity of voices, I will say I'd like each one of you, I'm like, come to Rolling Hills, because I just love and adore all your voices. So is anyone else willing? Or I noticed that both sounded like you, but your mouth shape changed from one song to the next because I was looking at you. If for anyone who their back were facing me, what did you hear that was different between those two styles in her voice? Yeah, go ahead.
Where her voice was placed in the different songs was different. Like,
yeah,
one was like higher, like nasal, pharyngeal, and then the second one was like more in her back of the mouth.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
I can give like a visual image of what it saw. It's more like the first one was like more in the front. It's like someone singing right in front of you.
Yeah.
And then the second one was more like someone sitting in the back of your car. And it's just like,
Yeah.
this like round, soft tone, but it like carried further, even though it's like behind you, it's like coming through the window still.
Yeah, that's really good. Yes, I agree with all those things. You sound beautiful, by the way. Sometimes I will, like, if I'm having a problem with a vocal piece, I will over enunciate. I will overdo it in order because I need to pull back. But if I'm the vocal run that keeps on coming through my head, I did not practice this before, but it's in my head right now. But it's a song that we sang in a choir, and it's holy. And I remember the holy, doing that over and over and over again, because the first times I would sing it, it would be flat. So I'm like, holy. So I'm going to sing it staccato so that I can get those notes. Holy. And then you can smooth it out. Holy. But the song is calling for holy. But I'm able to get to that point because I had to work on these things first. So if you're having a problem with pitch, especially, and getting your note, and you also know the piano, which is helpful, you can plunk out each note. But if you don't, it is okay to sing it slower, and be extra. Oh. I mean, it's a little tedious. Oh. But it is in order to get to holy, where it's more legato. So be encouraged, sing staccato when you can. If you cannot find your notes well, or if you feel like you're flat, which, like Olivia was saying, because I'm an alto, I tend to go flatter than I do sharp. And so my bend, especially if I'm nervous, will go flat because I'm unsure of myself. And so confidence is so key too in singing on pitch, which I know has been addressed. And if I have confidence, then I will sing better. And if I don't, I will not sing as well or as effective. I'll use the word effective. I won't sing as effectively. Thank you for those vocal exercises. I have my computer out because I like to stay on track because I go on tangents, and so I don't want to do that with you. We have a little bit of time left, and I know that some of you do have to leave early, and if you do, it's totally fine if you sneak out too. But Let's see. I want to share this with you. This is Ephesians 4:2, and it says, "Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love." Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. And that last part, bearing with one another in love, is true. And also being kind to yourself and loving yourself is also true. It's weird to say, I want to be humble. But it is. But I do. I seek to not elevate myself above other people, and yet I realize the tension of leading people and having to step out and say, okay, I do have to put myself out there. I do have to step out in front of people in order to lead well. Again, my bent is to be back here and let others lead, but it's required of me to step out. And so, in all humility, I heard that I heard Megan Fate Marshman. She's an author and a speaker, and she was quoting Tim Keller, and she was saying that humility is so shy that the moment that you mention it, it just goes away. And I'm like, oh gosh. So how are we humble? Like how do we do that? How do we not carry this weight of arrogance or pride? I would say for me, it's helpful to repeat this verse in my head, especially when I'm with difficult people. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Before I get on stage, be completely humble and gentle, bearing with one another in love. It is not about me. It never will be about me. And it will always be about God. Even if I'm singing in a secular environment, if I'm singing secular songs, it's still not about me. This voice was given to me by God, and so I try to just honor Him in everything that I do. I know I fall short, but even with my voice, honoring Him with how I sing. There's been a lot of moments that I've found myself musically where I've been like, how did we get here? Oh no. Where even sometimes when I'm on stage, I'm like, wow, God, like, thank you so much for this opportunity. How did we get here? What was this pathway? Sometimes on a Sunday morning, I'll be looking out and I'm like, uh-oh, what am I doing here? Why did you do this, Lord? And I'm thankful for those moments because I'm reminded that it is God who put me in these spaces. But whether it's a big crowd or whether it's a small crowd, both are important and both are significant, and one is not more significant than the other. And so how do we steward our voices well and sing with humble confidence, as Olivia said earlier too? Ask yourself those questions. One thing I did want to add, I loved all that Olivia had said in her tools. There's a throat coat lozenge that is really helpful that I love, and it's found on Amazon, and Target I think also has it, which I really appreciated. But I want to echo and say all those recommendations are so valid and so helpful. But yes, I cannot do eucalyptus, so me doing thieves or any other thing it's not good. Do you guys have any questions?
Do you have any suggestions on like what to practice to like, how do I get power in my head voice? And not,
Oh yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm like breathy and.
Sure. Yeah, breath has a huge is a huge part in it. I have to remind myself to be more breathy than not. So if I'm singing, I don't know if He Loves Us is a good one, but I'll try it. He loves us, oh how. I'm being more breathy as much as I can. He loves us, oh how. I'm losing my voice. He loves us, oh how He loves. So then I'm gonna put on a little bit of attitude of confidence. It's both, I feel like it's physical and it's also mental. He loves loves us. Oh, how he loves us. So that's me totally singing from chest. He loves us. If it was in a different key, he's jealous. I think that's too low. Let's see. That might be. He is jealous for me, loves like a hurricane. I am a tree. And then it's going to go, he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. And I can make a choice. I can sing it, he loves us. But I'm straining my vocal cords by doing that. Oh, how he loves us. Because I'm trying so hard. But it's actually more freeing and easier for me to sing it with more power. He loves us. And I'm trying to aim towards that tree that you guys can't see that's across the field. Oh, how I want that tree to know that he loves me and that he created that tree and he created me and we're all a part of creation. And so I would encourage you to find a space or an object or a face to where you're singing to, and that you're not in here. But I really appreciate what Olivia said about putting your hand on your chest so that you can feel that resonance, so that you can feel the vibration. Because I definitely feel it more when he loves us, he loves us. Oh, how that even singing that softer way is harder on my voice. Now, if I add more breath, it'll be less of a strain. Here we go. He loves us. Oh, how he loves us. I'm being really intentional about my breath because it's necessary for me to not feel a strain. I don't know if that's helpful or not. Is it? Yeah, but I would ask you to sing, but I don't know if you want to. Do you want to sing something to give an example? It's okay if you don't. I'm giving you the floor if you want it, but if you don't, that's totally fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I deal with the same thing?
Yes, go ahead. Please speak into it.
At my church, they'll have me sing the song King of Kings.
Yes.
And the chorus, it goes, God of glory, da, da, da. So you have the choice between singing majesty, like a really
Totally.
loud, or
Yeah.
being really breathy for those two notes.
Totally.
And that sounds awkward is when you go, you're doing a big chorus and
Yeah.
then you have those like standalone notes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether to strain. I know
Sure.
it's not good, but and bust them out
Sure.
or kind of shy it away.
Yes.
You have pretty ways to make that.
Yes. Oh, I would say for King of Kings, that is a good example. God of glory, majesty. Oh, what key is that? God of glory, majesty. I'm losing my voice. I would say, yeah, you would not sing majesty in a chest voice, but a head voice for sure. So I'll sing the whole thing. If you two need to go, totally fine. Yeah, of course. Even for the verse, in the darkness we were waiting, without hope and without light, till from heaven came running. I'm really careful about how I'm singing these words. There was mercy in your eyes to fulfill the law and promise. To a virgin came the word from the throne of endless glory to the cradle in the dirt. So I'm careful with the songs. It's a delicate moment. I'm singing the gospel story. And so I don't know necessarily if I'm in head or chest or if I'm trying to find some sort of in between. But then praise the Father, praise the Son. Let's speed this up. Praise the Spirit, 3 in 1. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. And there's a physical change in my face because I'm trying to delicately go up to that note without majesty. You know, that's not helpful. So don't do that. Don't yell sing, but majesty. And the word itself is a delicate word. There's so much power, majesty, glory, and honors to our God. Our God is incredible, but I'm treating the word delicately too because it's so almost too holy to sing. And so I'm going to sing it intentionally in that way. But even for that song, especially if I find myself singing the upper harmony, I will come down to the melody in order to support the vocalist. So if you're a background vocalist, I would encourage you, even on those moments when you cannot sing the higher part anymore, please go down to the melody. But there have been times, especially because Leah has a higher range than I do. I have more of a lower, deeper range, but she can hit the majesty. So if she's leading that song, I can come in and just kind of like, not sing whisper, because that's not good for your voice, but I can be a little bit softer too, and join her there, and then come back in on a stronger harmony too. Yeah, but thank you. That's a perfect song. That's a perfect example. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not sure how to phrase this, but tips for finding the first note, when you first start singing. I find myself struggling with just getting the first note.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know what I mean? And I don't. Yes. I mean, the advice I give myself is practice, just keep practicing, right? But I listen back to myself and record it and find myself like having to slide up or slide down if I don't quite hit it right. Any tips on how to?
Yeah, you are correct in that rehearsing really well at home, but there have been absolutely songs where I have started on the harmony because I think that's the starting note. So I would say if you don't have perfect pitch, that's okay. I don't either. There's very few. I don't know what the percentage of people is that do have it. But I would say one, verse the song as much as possible. Two, this is a little bit of a cheap way to do it, but if you have a piano player who's playing, have them play the note. I've had that countless times. But I've also been backstage, right in the wings before we come on stage. We usually wait in our wings and then we go out on stage as the lead pastor is teaching, and I will panic because I'm realizing, the song that we're about to sing, there is no evident starting note. What am I going to do? I'm going to okay. But what I try to do is I will, if I'm backstage, this is helpful, I will play the recording on my phone in the given key, and I will rehearse that in my head so that I can go out there.
It's just ingrained.
So that it starts becoming ingrained. But honestly, I wish I'd had the perfect way to do it. And Aaron Dorr, he will say, no, Joy, it's okay, just a fifth, and he's getting all technical with me. Like, that's not helpful. I just need my starting note. And so what I have found is really helpful is to find the starting note. I don't always lead I try to split it up between leading from acoustic and not. But even if I'm leading from acoustic, there have been songs that I have started out and it's a cappella, or we're going from one key to the next, and I need my starting note because the previous key is still in my head. So I will have a lot of my worship team members say, okay, well, your ending note is, even though we're in a different key, it's actually it's going to be the starting note of the next one. So I'm trying to internalize. Wait, how do I do that? And it works. So a lot of it is visualizing. I found is really helpful, but I have also just found it on my guitar and played it quietly, and then I sing. Yeah, but I would love to hear other people's advice because I don't know if I actually have a good method down. lots of prayer
Yeah.
too. But it is helpful when a piano player can play your starting note for you, for sure. But I welcome anyone to speak into that too if you found something that's helpful.
I'll go off of feel sometimes.
Yeah, I'm looking at you. Go ahead.
So if you're a piano player or whoever can play it, and then you hum it, I found that different pitches feel differently. And then like even if I don't have a good grasp of like how I sound, sometimes I'll just hold on to the feeling. So if they say the song you're ending, it ends on this note and that's your starting note. Okay, I stop singing, pull the mic down, I keep that note in my mouth.
That's good.
In the darkness you were away.
Yeah.
So sometimes that helps too if like you're not able to hear, or sometimes in-ears work against us if you're using those. But have your keyboardist like emphasize, because normally the note is in their chord.
Yeah.
So have them like emphasize it for you and pay attention to how it feels too.
Thank you.
I use that same way.
Yeah.
That specific vibration, so I'll like do it in my head, and then I try to hold the thought of that vibration in my head until it's time for me to sing.
Yeah.
That's
And
really
even like you can hear yourself better, if you plug one ear.
Right.
So sometimes I'll have to take an in ear out and like hum the first full line of the verse so that I can hear where it's supposed to start. And then you feel it as well. But yeah.
That's helpful. I know. So sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
And we psych ourselves out. It's like, no, you know this note. Why does it seem like I don't? But those are really helpful tools when you are really nervous. The humming, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
I don't know how to explain it, but it
Yeah,
always
go ahead.
feels like when I hum it, I'm looking for the note. Like I'll cup my ear, and I'll like, because if I cup my ear, like, because I have bad hearing, so if I do this, it feels the same way as in here. So I cup it and I can hear it bounce from here to both ears, and then I'll hit the note and I'll hold it. But almost like you said, it's like that vibration feeling. But like that's how I did the national anthem. It's like, to me, it's like all the noises, I can hear all the different notes because my anxiety is going so bad. But I also like super sensitive to like tone stuff, and when you're dealing with nerves and stuff, and so I'll hit that note and I'm like, there's my safety.
Yeah.
And then so in my brain, I'll tell myself, this is the note that's going to save you. Remember it. that's
your life.
That's what I'll like associate it to like safety and a safe zone compared to all the other notes that are just happening and around me, or people are playing in the worship. I'm like, this is the one that'll bring me peace.
Yeah.
And I'll just like, and then I'll hold on to it. Like I'll associate it to something like that means a lot to me. And I tend to not forget it because I'm like, that's my lifeline.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think too, like with it, if you practice the song enough, you kind of just have to be like, you trust yourself to like know it, like be like, I do know this song, I do remember this note, I know where to start. But the more you think about it and kind of psych yourself out, you can be like, wait, do I actually know this song? Do I remember this note? But you kind of just, there's a certain amount of like, you just have to trust yourself that you have practiced this enough, you do know it, and just do it.
It's like driving.
Yeah.
Like there's times,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if everybody does this, but there's times I'm driving and I'm just like, wait a minute, I'm driving.
Oh no.
I have to like calm myself down and say, Spirit, you know how to drive, you have a license, you're good.
You've done this
So
before.
I've done this before.
That's so good.
One of the reasons I chose Created Thy Faithfulness when I was singing was
Yes.
because about a month ago at church, we were playing that song, and the keyboard player transposed to the wrong key.
Oh no.
Oh no.
And so I was playing the guitar, and he was playing like, between prayer, like
Sure.
instrumentally in the wrong key.
Sure.
And then I started singing, and I was like, whoop, that's not right.
Yeah.
And then you just lock up.
Yeah.
And then I was stuck, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I have no idea how I'm going to find this song.
Totally.
And but it was getting back to that. Okay, I know this. I gotta get that muscle memory back. But yeah.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. And there have been times when I've asked whoever's playing piano to play in the same key that we're going to be doing the next song.
That's right. Yeah.
Because sometimes sometimes they'll play like any song. We have one keyboardist that he can play anything, and sometimes he'll sneak in like Jurassic Park. But it's great. But that's really helpful for me. Like, hey, like it is okay to say that. Can you please play in the key that the next song is going to be in?
Well, he thought he was.
Oh no!
It was one of those he was transposing with the
Oh,
he was cheating.
Oh.
And so instead of learning the key, he just transposed.
Oh, he just pushed the button.
He pushed the wrong.
Sorry.
He pushed it up to the wrong one, and it was like we were way off, and it was like it was catastrophic.
Oh no!
Yeah. But,
I would also say, because I know you're a worship leader,
yeah.
I think there's this, I know we're out of time,
No.
but I think there's this pressure on worship leaders to like, once worship is live and going, to have this like flawless, perfect, and it's not a performance, but like in our mind we kind of make it to be. You're a person.
That's right.
And people in your congregation are people.
Yeah.
And if you get to a point, you start a song and you're like, we're off the click, I don't have the pitch, I forgot the word, this is just a train wreck in the first 10 seconds. It's okay to just be like, you know what? We're going to restart.
Yeah.
I had to do that. There was a Sunday where we were coming from, I think, the key of E and then changing to A. It was the song Victory is Yours, I think Bethel. But the verse starts like immediately. And so I still had the key of E in my head. And then the like pad in A came up, but it was like I had like 2 seconds to get the right key before I had to start singing. And I continued to sing in E. And I saved the clip on the live stream because it was comical to me. But you can see, like, I sang a good 2 full lines in the wrong key, and it was so cringy. But then you see me, like, I just stopped. And I think I took an in ear out, and I hummed. I, like, listened to all the ambient sounds and the band, and I pulled my mic down, and I just, like, got the pitch in my head, and took a breath, and then I jumped in when I could. And in that case, like, worship went on, I didn't need to stop because it was just myself that I didn't have the right pitch. But I've also had the experiences where, like, everybody is off, and then as the team leader, you feel that pressure of, like, my team is frazzled and panicking. It's not a performance.
That's right.
Just, you can stop and be like, you know what? We're going to start that again. Don't be distracted. Here we go. Let's worship.
Totally. Yeah, I like that. Saying the obvious sometimes is helpful.
Yeah. I think people appreciate when you acknowledge it.
When the worship leader is real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, and those things happen.
Oh my gosh.
And it
totally.
just, I mean, it's almost like a little bonding thing that, oh, yeah, they're real.
Yeah.
They are real.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes I'll make a joke and be like, it's not like I do this for a living. It's fine.
It's just fine.
Yeah,
those are good questions.
I did what your keyboard did to you, to my team accidentally. I had the cable in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
On the radio song.
Yeah.
And then I literally was like, sorry, I'm
Yeah.
not going to do this to you,
Yeah.
to the person who was leading. And then I was like, I forgot to move my cable.
Yeah.
And everyone just started laughing, and we just went right back into
Yep.
worship. So I like what you like, sometimes it's just like that pause, and just like, hey, bumps happen. Worship is like life, like, we're worshiping
Life music.
We're doing life right
That's right.
now.
Awesome.
Yeah.